I struggle to make my own art sometimes. As the mark of any good and true artist, in my personal opinion, I make it all myself. I have full control over the creative process, including fixing my camera when it's tilted mid-film. There, that's better. Imagine if it didn't change at all in post. But because I also have ADHD, not only is consistency not my biggest strong suit, but a suit that I am still actively working towards, even if I have to redefine it for myself. I often have so many ideas running through my head at one time, and most of them don't stick long enough for me to flesh it out into an actual idea. But then, see, my ADHD also has an unfair loophole, where I feel like if I don't write it down, right? If I write it down, then I have more of a chance of turning it into something that actually helps me express myself creatively. But then I write everything I think about down, and then it just becomes this backlog of Notion pages that now feels more like it's weighing me down than creatively inspiring me. But then remember the age-old saying of neurotypicals or closet neurodivergents who were older and didn't understand what was actually going on with us. If you forgot it that easily, then it must not have been as important to you. Because the solution to the Notion backlog, or wherever your backlog is, would be to not write it down, right? But then if you don't write it down, it's kind of gone forever. And I know that not every idea necessarily needs to be turned into art. Some things are just ideas. But when you're pushing your artistry into an industry that thrives on consistency, repackaged as frequency, you always try to make sure that you have a fail-safe so that you can always have something for the algorithm. And this is part of the reason why people are trying to push quality over quantity, and they're trying to bring artistry back to content. You'll notice that my bio says your next favorite artist, not your next favorite content creator, not your next favorite influencer, your next favorite artist, because I've stopped calling everything that I make content. Content creator just feels overused to me now, and it feels like it waters it down. It feels like it takes the focus away from why it actually started and puts it more on metrics, numbers, data, analysis. And yeah, creative fields do require some analysis, because I do have to check my analytics to see what my audience is actually responding to, but at the end of the day, creativity comes first. And who's the most creative person? An artist. The medium doesn't matter. I forgot where I was going with that. What did I talk about before that? I mean, I guess it doesn't really have to be organized. I could just be ranting. Stream of consciousness is a thing. I was talking about feeling like I'm running a rat race with this whole content creator thing. And before that, it was about being a neurodivergent creative. And then after that, it was about... oh my goodness, the train of thought has left the station without me. It's funny though, as I'm making this video, I'm feeling a weight lifted off of my shoulders and my head. Okay, I think I'm starting to remember. So I was talking about how not all art needs to be, not all ideas need to be art. Some of them can just be ideas. The greatest artists of our time didn't turn every single thing that they thought about into art. But as neurodivergent creatives, it's very easy for us to feel that pressure, because if we lose steam now, we fall out of relevance. And that's the reason why okay, now it's coming back to me. That was the whole reason that I brought up the algorithm, because they've turned it into a numbers game rather than an artistic expression outlet. And that means that we end up chasing relevance rather than permanence. We chase relevance rather than existence. We chase rather than creating art just for the sake of creating art. And because we know how hard it is for us to keep up with that, because the algorithm and this capitalistic rat race was also created by people who have a brain that is wired completely different from ours, we are used to setting up systems for ourselves to make it easier to keep up with that. And then all we have to show for it is the system itself, because it usually doesn't bring results, because that's just not how we're wired. And the irony of that is that many of us choose these creative fields where we can have full control over our time and our freedom because we don't fit into the neurotypical mold. And yet here we are, neurodivergent as hell, trying to fit into the neurotypical mold. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I got bored of my content. I had somebody yelling at me, not really yelling at me, but I had somebody yelling at me on my YouTube like, girl, where you been? It's been so many months you haven't posted anything. And I was sitting in meditation, like literally 10 minutes ago, asking myself why it was so hard to get myself to put effort towards my content. And the answer was, if this is something you love, it shouldn't take effort. And I understand that there's nuance to that, right? But stay with me for a minute. Because I know that I'm supposed to be taking the path of least resistance, right? So if there's resistance to my art, I'm not making the right art. For me. I'm not making the right art. And I said, so all of those series ideas that I had on Notion are supposed to just go to waste? And the answer was, well, no. Maybe you just hold on to it for, a rainy day. But don't make that your focus. My other issue was also, I kept trying to do too many things. So we didn't learn. I love that guy. We didn't learn. I don't do well with trying to do too many big projects at once. And even for people who have been doing this content creator thing for a while, multiple creative projects at once can be a lot, even if they're short form series. The two creatives that come to mind immediately when I think of short form series are Chloe Shi and Adrian Purr. And both of those creators said that they worked long hours and long days and long nights to create a backlog of the series that they made so that they didn't fall out of their consistency. I have no idea what Adrian and Chloe's neurotype is, but that should have been my first clue that it was probably going to be a lot harder for me to keep up with that same level of output, so I shouldn't have even been trying. So I also changed my bio on Instagram to reflect that I'm now only doing one short form series at a time. I'm not going to touch those other two until I finish the one that I'm working on. That took a little bit of weight off of me. But yeah, as I was in my little meditation, I think one of the questions that I asked was, I did mention the whole feeling like I have to have this backlog to keep up with demands, but then also getting bored of my content. I'll be honest with y'all, I think I said that already. I got bored of my content. And I was like, sometimes I feel like I have nothing to talk about unless I have this other external thing to pull from. It's kind of a validation thing, even though I created the thing myself, but I think I was falling into that habit of okay, you need to script stuff out, you need to do this, you need to do that, and I think, especially mentally, I'm just more free-flowing than that, which is the reason why I was kind of having more fun doing vlogs and stuff, but I still have things that I want to talk about, and sometimes I feel like I don't actually say everything that I wanted to say and hit all the points that I wanted to hit if I don't script everything, because I was lucky that I was able to just pull out the camera and start talking right now because I'm not busy and I'm not doing anything with this time right now. I don't always have that luxury. Sometimes inspiration hits and I'm out at Walmart or I'm driving or I'm in the shower or something, and I have to if I'm driving, I'm SOL. If I'm in Walmart, I can pull out my notes app or pull out my voice memos or whatever. If I'm in the shower, I can pull out my voice memos. But if I don't have my camera on me, I can't just pull it out and start talking. And it's always when I don't have the capacity to capture my creative thoughts right then and there that I have the best things to say and that I have the best epiphanies ever. I can already tell this video is going to be probably exclusively on YouTube. I can probably split it up into parts and put it on Instagram if I want to. But yeah, I thought this was going to be a short, but clearly I have so much to say. But yeah, that was kind of my thought process in my meditation, is I always felt like I didn't really have much to say, and so I wouldn't trust myself, I guess. I really need to continue reading The Artist's Way. Good grief. And so the answer was, talk about that. Talk about the struggles that you're having as a neurodivergent creator. Talk about the struggles that you're having putting energy towards art. That's the word I was looking for. No more putting effort towards it. I put energy towards it now. And this feels so easy. If y'all only knew the weight that's been lifted off my shoulders and off my chest, if off my head, well, my chest too, but off of my head. If y'all only knew how free I feel right now, how clear my head feels. Like, this is the way that creating my art is supposed to feel. It's not supposed to feel like a drag. It's not supposed to feel like a chore to pull out my camera and do the thing that I've wanted to do since I was 16 years old. I am 26. Why am I still working on this? Like, I know good things take time, but I was making it so much harder on myself because I kept trying to operate from a state that I was not built to operate from. Becoming a creative in your truest form is such a learning process. So, like, don't feel bad if you also feel like it's taking you forever to find your thing and to find your flow, because you probably still haven't found it yet. I'm not downplaying any of the efforts that you've made. I'm not downplaying any of the energy you've put towards it. I'm saying it's such a consistent, not even consistent, it's such a constant learning process and learning curve. You just gonna be stuck here with the wheel turned like this for forever, because there's so much that you have to unlearn from society. And if you're neurodivergent, that amount is doubled, tripled, quadrupled, quintupled, sextupled, listen, however far into the numbers you want to go. And there's so much that I'm still learning about myself. They say that your 20s are for learning everything that's going to make your 30s easier. I feel like you were supposed to have learned it in your teens, but society was too busy trying to shape you into who they wanted you to be because they couldn't be it themselves. That's a sandbox for another day. But there's so much that I'm still learning about myself and still figuring it out, because I'm still connecting with my spirit. And it's frustrating and it's exhausting to see everything that I try fail, kind of, because it's not meant for me. But the more things that I try and the more things that I fail at, the closer I get to finding what actually works for me and what I need. I just wish the water wasn't so damn muddy. You know what I mean? And also, I wish my working memory would give me a break, because poor working memory is a hallmark of ADHD, and it's part of the reason why it's been so hard for me to figure out my true authentic style, because I don't remember things long enough to actually work with them. So I keep falling back into old habits that were messing me up 2 and 3 and 4 years ago. It's only recently that I've started like doing this whole meditation thing, because the form of meditation that was presented to me when I first found out about it was the very stereotypical, like, clear your mind of all thought. Like, baby, the train of thought in here has no brakes. That's not possible, okay? Not only does it have no brakes, but it has a station every 5 meters. What do you mean clear your mind of all? Do you realize how many cars are on the back of this thing? Please be so for real. And so now my meditation is, rather than actually trying to clear my mind of all thought, I just let my mind run. I ask the million questions, and it's like it's filtering out all of this stuff from the channels. And that's actually more effective for me than trying to sit in silence, as evidenced by how little pressure I feel in my head. And it's usually in those moments of stillness. I say usually, like I've done it enough times to actually have concrete evidence, because this is my first time doing it and having a video actually come out of it. But it appears to me that it's in those moments of stillness that I get the inspiration that I'm looking for, because I'm literally directly asking my higher self. And so it feels way more freeing to not be relying on my Notion database and to just be creating for the sake of creating. The question is, how do I maintain this? I am absolutely okay with being the creator that can post like 4 times a month and make a killing off of it. I'm absolutely okay with being that creator, because that's kind of the lifestyle that I need. It's the one that would allow me to take the best care of myself, not fall apart, continue to nurture myself, continue to pour into myself, to do everything that my soul and my spirit craves. But I do want to create more often, and that's exactly what my higher self was trying to tell me in my meditation. I keep trying to have control over the creative Remember when I mentioned it earlier, that I have control over the creative process, which is a good, like, okay, when I say that I have control over the creative process, okay, I mean that I choose when I film, I choose what I talk about, I choose what I edit, when I edit, and how I edit. I also choose when it gets posted and to what social media platforms. I also control who's allowed to comment on those things. That's not what I mean when I talk about the epiphany that I just had. The control that I was trying to have was over the creativity itself. I was literally trying to have control over what I was creative about. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? Why are you like this? Okay, I have a mirror right here because I sit here to do my makeup. Why are you like this? I feel like I should write this down, and I don't know if that is necessarily falling into the trap of like not trusting myself, but I'm writing it down on a sticky note, so I'm going to go ahead and say that this is okay. Okay, so this is my note. So it says, stop trying to have control over the creative expression. What you talk about should come naturally. Stop judging yourself and downplaying the gift you just said you had. Constant unlearning process. If you're confused by that last line, I went to a yoga class with my friends last week, and I mentioned what just happened with where meditating helps me filter out my mind so that I can express myself more freely. And I literally mentioned that I was an artist and that my art is mostly through speech, that my words tend to leave an impact on people. And the fact that I recognized that gift and then had the audacity to turn around and accidentally stifle that gift. Because even though it was accidental, it was still audacious. Trying to have control over what I say, when I say it, how I say it. I still think there's going to be times where inspiration hits and I can't pull out my camera to catch it. I need to stop being scared to use my phone. Not necessarily fear, it's just like I get so used to doing everything with my camera because I like the quality better, and also my camera has more space. Because my camera just films and my phone is like my everything phone. Girls have two everythings. We have everything showers and everything phones. And then we also have my Everything by Ariana Grande. You might also have Everything the book too. Or the movie. Alright, let me stop. This is getting really bad. Let me stop. But from now on, I'm no longer going to operate under the mindset that if I don't remember what I was going to say anymore, that it's gone forever, or that I didn't care about it anymore. Because the things that are meant to be spoken through me will come back to me. And I just have to trust that the time and the place will happen again. And they will come back to me. So, this is your next favorite artist and spiritual channel. Signing off. Love you, bye.